It is that time of the show when we say hello to today's guest, who is actually a dear friend and a returning guest, as we say hello to Michael Price, who is an author, a lecturer, an executive coach, a corporate trainer, a keynote speaker, and the owner of the longest business card known to man.
Yes, indeed.
Michael.
Yes, indeed. It's about that long and about that big around.
Exactly, but it works. Well, welcome back.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it.
We've had you on this show a couple times, because not only are you a good friend, but you've written a book and created a system called Fearless Thinking.
Yes.
And we're going to be announcing today something new that you've done a little bit later on in the show that is very exciting. But before we get to that big announcement, for those that may not remember when you've been on in the past, give us a little background on yourself and what led you to write this book. And this book truly, it's a roadmap to happiness and prosperity if you follow it.
Yes, absolutely true. And a little bit of my background, I have a really varied background. I was a professional baseball player for 10 years. And then I was a
Can you
police
say
officer.
what team?
Actually, I was with the Dodgers the majority of that time.
Wow.
And then I was with the Angels for a year and the Cubs for a year. I even played in Mexico for a year, which was kind of interesting. The only English-speaking guy on the team for quite a while, so that was very interesting.
So did any of them ever try and like kick the ball rather than hit it?
Seemed like it a few times.
Yeah, well, you know, with World Cup going on, I thought that was appropriate.
Yes, of course. And then after I stopped playing baseball, I became a police officer for quite a few years. And I've been an investigator, private investigator. I've had several businesses that I've run, and I'm now really focused on my Fearless Thinking business.
Okay, so tell us, what is Fearless Thinking and what brought you to write this book? What was that aha moment when you said, I need to take what's up here and what I've learned here and put it here for others?
Yes, indeed. For years when I was a younger man, I went to a lot of self-help, personal development kind of programs. All the big gurus at the time had some great information, you know, the Tony Robbins of the world and the Wayne Dyers of the world and Zig Ziglars and you know all the big names. And I went to those programs looking for something that would help me change my life, because I knew there were things that I needed to do to change my life. And there was some great information there. But for me, personally, when I woke up on a Monday morning, I couldn't quite figure out how to apply what it was they were giving me or teaching me.
You know, isn't that a common story? You go to these things and you get all hyped up and excited, and then a few days later it's kind of fading and you don't really have that practical application of those lessons into your life.
Right. So unlike all of those other gurus who are wonderful people and have wonderful programs, I don't have anything bad to say about them. What I decided I needed to do was figure out how to develop some tools to apply the information that I put in my book, the Fearless Thinking. How do you apply this the next day so that you can start to take control of your life? Either one tool to apply or multiple tools to apply at the same time. But how do you apply it? And that's really where the program took on a life.
So it started as a book, which I want to get a little more information on, but now it's expanded to a website, to speaking engagements. What else?
Yes, all of the above. Websites, speaking engagements. I do a lot of corporate training with employees, managers at the C-level as well. A lot of one-on-one trainings, a lot of group trainings, a lot of team-building, problem-solving trainings with large organizations. So it's really developed into quite a program, and it's really based around how do you apply stuff? How do you solve problems? How do you fix things? What tools can you use and use them right now?
And who should read this book?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody, absolutely. Because we all have things that we want to change, either in our personal life or in our business life or our relationship life or our financial life, or even to find some extra time during the course of our day or during the course of our week.
So give me an example of something from this book.
One of the things that is a huge thing that a lot of people perhaps know a little bit about, but they really don't apply it. They don't know how to apply it. And it's what I call TEB. TEB.
TEB.
T stands for thought. E stands for emotion. B stands for behavior.
Thought, emotion, behavior.
Correct. There is a specific connection between thought, emotion, and behavior. So we have a thought in our head about something, anything that's happening in our life. It could be a problem between two individuals. It could be a problem at work. Perhaps it's finances, whatever it happens to be. So we have this thought. This thought then triggers an emotion. And that emotion can be...
Whether we're aware of it or not.
Exactly, exactly. If the thought is a great thought, it could be, the emotion could be happiness and joy. If it's a negative thought, it could be stress and anxiety and anger or whatever. You follow what I mean? So then the emotion then dictates a behavior, right? And so that behavior, if it's a negative emotion, that behavior tends to be negative. It could be something as simple as becoming somewhat of a recluse, just pulling back away from your family, away from business, whatever the case may be. Or it could be something even stronger that would be anger at somebody else.
Again, that you may not be fully aware of.
Exactly.
So you offered tools to not only recognize these
Correct.
things, but how to deal with them.
Correct.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to learn something about some of these tools.
Okay.
And share a story about how your tools actually helped me with a life situation, and then we'll talk about the big announcement we're about to make.
Excellent.
So don't go away. The best part of this conversation is yet to come. We'll be right back. We are back and coming to you from the beautiful KGEM studios in wonderful Old Town Monrovia. And we are joined today by a dear friend, Michael Price, who is an author, speaker, lecturer, executive coach, trainer, and keynote speaker, and friend. Michael, in the first segment, we were talking about your book, Fearless Thinking,
Yes.
which turned into a complete system.
Yes.
And you have a wonderful website, which I think is just fearlessthinking.com.
Correct.
Yeah. And when we left the last segment, you were telling us about TEB, thoughts, emotions, behaviors. And I wanted to share with our viewers and listeners, I was having an issue at an organization I'm involved with one individual. And let's just say we weren't playing nice in the sandbox. And I kind of shared some of the challenges with you, and using information right out of this book was able to completely turn the entire situation around in a way that made me not only feel better, but was able to work with this individual moving forward.
Yes.
Is that a story that you hear often?
Actually, it is a story that I hear often. And the underlying part of the challenges that we have with other people is essentially the TEB, thought, emotion, behavior. But once you understand the thought, emotion, behavior, there are other things that come into play. And when you and I were sitting down talking, I think what we talked about was don't take it personally. The idea of don't take it personally. And your viewers and a lot of people have a big challenge with don't take it personally. Because whenever things happen in our life, it feels personal, and so we wind up taking it personally. So our thought, emotion, behavior, if we think it's personal, we have an emotional reaction to it being personal, and then we have a behavior that corresponds with that emotion.
Which is often a negative behavior, which then continues this downward cycle that takes you nowhere good.
Exactly. So once we understand that connection between thought, emotion, behavior, and then we move to don't take it personally, here's what I explain to people that have a hard time with don't take it personally. Everything outside of your head is somebody else's agenda. So everything outside of your head, everything outside of my head is somebody else's agenda. So what they're doing is they're doing it for themselves. Whatever it is they're doing it for themselves, and it's not personal to you. You just happen to be in the way.
Yeah, it's personal to them.
Correct.
I just happen to be the recipient of it.
Exactly, because if I were in your shoes, they would be doing it to me, right? And so it's not personal to you. They are doing it for themselves to make themselves feel better, feel smarter, feel more in control, whatever it happens to be.
But once you recognize that and the sting, so to speak, is removed, then how you deal with it moving forward becomes completely different and better. Completely different and better, and it changes the emotion that you are experiencing in here, which then changes your stress level, your anxiety level.
your anger level.
All right, we're almost out of time. I'm really excited. You are launching a free webinar series from your website. Tell us about
Yes,
that.
free webinar series really called Choosing Clarity. And that's part of the fearless thinking system. Choosing clarity, being clear about what it is we want, being clear about what it is that is the problem so that we're more clear about the solution. And I'm offering this free webinar that's really going to be transformational because there are going to be tools that are simple, succinct, and step-by-step so that people can follow them to create whatever it is they want to create in their life.
And I can tell our viewers and listeners, I've been through your whole Choosing Clarity program, and it was life-changing for me. Because so much of what we do in kind of this hazy, foggy, muddled state.
Yes.
And we're just kind of faking from one moment to the next. But the minute we start getting clear on what we want, on what the real issues are, we can then get clear on how to create or manifest what we want to happen.
Absolutely. Once we get clear in our head, and the program will be really succinct, simple steps that they can use to the next morning or the next day or right after the webinar can start to use those tools and develop whatever it is they want to develop in their own life.
Now, how long is the series? How many webinars are there?
The webinar, there will be multiple webinars, probably one per month.
Okay.
And we're going to start them in the very near future. So anybody that's interested, they can just either contact me by emailing me at info@choosingclarity.com, or they can go on to the website choosingclarity.com and get some information there.
All right, so free webinar, and it's not just words, it's actually actions that you can take to immediately start improving and changing your life and leading you to that life of prosperity, which is not necessarily defined just by money. That we all really want: peace, happiness, and prosperity. All right, we've got about a minute and a half left. Give us one more tip that we can take away today.
One of the tips that I think is important and people get caught up in, and they don't really realize that they're caught up in it. A lot of people are having challenges with time. A lot of people are having challenges with getting things done. And what I've found through my teachings and my coachings and all of that is that what happens with most people, they get caught up in a lot of activity,
but not a lot of accomplishment.
But not a lot of accomplishment, or what I say is achievement.
Okay.
Activity versus achievement. So we're going to identify the activity that's not being achievement and the achievement that is being achievement. So once we start to identify and get really clear right here what's activity and what's achievement, we can delete the activity, focus on the achievement.
You're right. We get so wrapped up being busy and not achieving. Once we get clear on what is just busy work and what is actually giving us benefit, then we know where to put our focus.
Absolutely.
All right, so Michael, one more time, if someone wants to join your free webinars, the website is?
ChoosingClarity.com. ChoosingClarity.com.
And if they want to reach out to you directly, email?
info@choosingclarity.com.
And I recommend it. Reach out to Michael, grab a copy of the book if you can, check out the website. It's going to make a big difference in your life. And Michael, thank you for everything you do to help us all live happier, more peaceful, and more prosperous lives.
Thanks very much, Ron. I appreciate it.
The subtitle is Stop Clucking Around and Spice Up Your Love Life. Because what I realized when I started thinking about my life was, and all the men in my life or the relationships, was that we're all chicken. I guess the easiest way to say it is, why didn't the chicken cross the road?
Why didn't it? Because it was afraid.
Because it was chicken.
Because it was chicken, okay.
And that's kind of what I based the beginning of the book on, was how we're also fearful. We're afraid of commitment. We're afraid to be hurt. We're afraid to open up. We're afraid to be vulnerable. We're afraid of all these things. But all of those things are so important when it comes to having a real bonding relationship.